on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Stephen Unia. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on City Talks with Reuben Abati. Well, what exactly are we dealing with? We have a National Data Protection Commission. We have a National Identity Management Commission. And now we hear that people's identity can be bought for as little as 100 naira online. The implication of that is that anybody can just go online, pick up your NIN, National Identification Number, and go and get a phone line, a SIM card, and they can commit any atrocity with it. If they could do it with a minister, then of course, who are we ordinary people who apparently are not safe? Why did this happen? How do we prevent it? What are the serious implications in your view?
Thank you very much for having me, sir. Thank you very much for having me on your show. The issue of the data breach that's with our personally identifiable data, which is where all these class of data falls into, is a little bit beyond our NIN, because some of these websites that eventually were taken down, some of them were not only selling NIN numbers, they were selling, some of them were marketing, though we didn't have, there's no evidence to show that we actually did an outright purchase. They were also marketing task identification number, driver license number, international passport number, bank verification number, which tells us that they probably had more in their possession than the NIN that was evidentially proven to be in their possession. Now, one of the challenges we have, those of us in this practice, is our readiness as a nation for the cybercrime enterprise we have in Africa. And let me be a bit categorical that we have cybercrime enterprise across the world. There are cybercrime enterprise in America, there are in the United Kingdom, anywhere. But we have a unique type in Nigeria because our cybercrime enterprise have largely gone unabated and unhindered. They've been given so much freedom to form one of the biggest network of criminals we have in Africa. And I'm saying this confidently, sir, because this is what we do every day. One of our areas of practice in computing is digital forensics. And we know how big this enterprise has become, how coordinated they have become, how ready. And I won't be surprised that these old data breaches we seem to be discovering now, that this criminal enterprise, they've designed an architecture right from the foundation of our data collection, because that is their own business. The same way a typical genuine entity running business or doing anything in Nigeria will plan futuristically, strategically for years. The problem we have in this country is we've not recognized that these criminals have planned these things way in advance. Now, when this news broke and we heard that there was a data breach, and NIMC came out and basically debunked the allegation. I myself, being a professional that practice within the geographical boundaries of Nigeria, not because we don't have alternatives, but because we love this country and we stay back to practice. Sir, it was an embarrassing revelation to hear NIMC come out and debunk it and give their claims the way they give it. Number one, I'm going to cite two things that we heard from NIMC. Now, there are two important things that NIMC said. NIMC said we have a world-class database. It's very embarrassing to even use the word world-class for a database. I was trying to read the portfolio of the spokesperson of NIMC. That was in an attempt to make sure you don't hold NIMC responsible for this kind of approach. And it was worrisome to hear them use the word, we have world-class database, and they brandished the ISO information security management certification. It only shows us they don't have clarity on the value chain pipeline of data. They don't have clarity, because when you have a data breach of this nature, the problem is not even your database, because there's a thin line between data privacy protection and data protection. There's a thin line, data privacy violation and data protection violation. So when they come and just use a so-called world-class database as their justification that there is no breach, it was very embarrassing, because if you look at the value chain of data, you will know that you can be responsible and be held liable for a data breach, even if your database was not the point of exploit. It was very embarrassing they made that statement. Now, secondly, we've been told that they are doing investigations, sir. Another problem we have is we need a ready data protection commission. Some of us have vouched for the processes we followed in this country, getting to the point where we finally have a data protection, data privacy act, and we now have a protection commission. We've actually told them, we actually made statements like it was a laudable progress. But to hear of our level of preparedness, meaning after this kind of breach, you are now telling us you want to start an investigation. You could have just given an instruction to the commission, pop your security or publish your authentication log, publish your access control log. We don't need you to tell them you are starting an investigation. This is a test on our preparedness as a nation. And I want you to know something. For those of us who understand the delicate nature of digital forensics, we want you to know this kind of breach, it will get more and more, because these criminals, I want to believe they are ahead of us. I want to believe they have machineries in place that have positioned them to be able to exploit every possible vulnerability in our data system as a country. Because this is where they make their livelihood, this is where they're living, and they are established enterprise in this criminal game, sir.
Well, very quickly, for the benefit of people at home who are listening to us, we all went through this challenge of getting NIN, BVA. Like anybody can just go and get a SIM card in our name. The report stated that even Boko Haram, the terrorists, they can go and get a SIM card in the army and give instructions and troops. So does it mean that our bank accounts can be compromised? Our identity can be compromised? And what can be done urgently to protect us?
Thank you very, very much.
Put it in a layman's perspective.
Yes. Yeah. So I will put it in a very, very layman's perspective. First, we first need to know what is the value of this kind of data, this data we have. Why do we have a national identity? Why is digital identity even a major issue when it comes to systems? First, it helps us with security. It helps us in accessing government services, and it helps us with is relatively new. So in the short term, the biggest risk for us is incrimination. In a situation where someone impersonates you, gets your data, have your profile, and connects you with a crime that you know nothing about. Now, you could easily want to argue that with a diligent investigative system, there is a chance you might be vindicated from that crime. But it doesn't mean that you wouldn't have spent time, resources, and emotions on having to prove your innocence. Also, there are reports that there are some people in prison today, in jail today, that they got there by the fact that maybe their driver license just got for the family at the scene of a crime. Now, sir, the risk to us in the short term is impersonation. Impersonation using our trusted credentials that we have given to trusted agencies of government. Now, sir, in the long term, which is where I'm more focused in the long term, because you see, these criminals that are trying to harvest this data, whether directly or indirectly, based on experience, sir, they always have a long-term goal. They always have a long-term goal. They know in the future, these identity systems will be used to assess financial services, which some organizations and individuals are already doing. They know in the future, these identity systems will be used to profile anyone's credit worthiness and debt profile. These identity systems can be used to assess critical government resources, can be used to assess loans, grants. It can be used for so many things. So for us, we should be worried of the long-term playbook of these cyber criminals than the short term. Because in the short term, even if you incriminate me today and you print a fake driver license with my driver license number, a fake BVN, and you put it in a crime scene, or you try to incriminate me, somewhere, somehow, we'll have the police do their work and you get a good lawyer to help you defend you. In the short term, the risk is high when it comes to criminal activities. But the risk is a lot more, sir, in the long term, by the time we start taking full advantage of these identity systems we have in Nigeria. I'm sure we are moving toward a general purpose, multi-purpose card. So we are evolving these our identity systems over time, gradually. And we're going to get to a point when it will become as relevant as we have a social security number in the US. We're going to get to that point. And I'm one of those that believe these cyber criminals, they're already thinking about that time. So for us, the risk now in the short term is connecting us with criminal activities and impersonating us. And in the long term, is denying us services and taking advantage of our resources.
Okay, but the National Identity Management Commission and the Data Protection Commission, they make it look like, well, this is no big deal. What they said is that, oh, these are data harvesters. I think there's one platform called X-Verify and another one, too, that were identified online. But you said they said they will investigate. What are they investigating in real terms? Because they don't seem to think that it's a serious matter. Is this what happens in other jurisdictions? How do they manage identity and privacy in other jurisdictions?
Thank you, sir. Like I said earlier, NIMC, that's the National Identity Management Commission, have not only embarrassed us, those of us that practice in this country as professionals in computing, because to trivialize something of this scale, to make it look as if, yes, we have their so-called world-class database, which I'm still struggling to qualify that adjective. I'm trying to understand, okay, what is a world-class database? Well, I've been thinking, okay, those of us have been doing this for over 20 years. What is a world-class database, for goodness sake? We don't even understand what they mean by that. If they brand it and tell us they have ISO and suddenly make it look as if it's a non-matter, it's a shame, sir. It's a big shame. Because data protection violation, and maybe, sir, because they are an agent of government, maybe that's why they feel they can just pass over this scale of event. Now, I'm going to give you an example. So there was an incident with Facebook where there was an harvest of data, similar harvest, sir. Because NIMC has used the word that because it's a data harvest, that's not a big deal. Cambridge Analytica, a company used the Facebook platform in connivance with Facebook infrastructure to harvest data. And they got millions of Facebook users' personal data, sir. So this matter was so serious. It became a class action lawsuit in which Meta, the parent company of Facebook, was fined approximately over $722 million in dollars. That is to let you know the value, the weight put on data. Now, the problem I have with NIMC is they don't understand the intrinsic value and the economic value of data. They are still seeing data like it's just something stored on a computer in a flash drive. Data has intrinsic and economic value, sir. And the more you allow this kind of incidents to happen with that clear statement, with that clear instrument of government, wielding the power of government to sanction whoever is involved, you are reducing the intrinsic and economic value of Nigerian data. And we are going to get to a stage, if this is not come and taken seriously, where we will have little or no value for our data, whether it is protected or not. Because it's one thing to have your privacy of your data guaranteed. It's one thing to have the protection of your data guaranteed. It's another thing to ensure the value of your data is sustained. This country, we are getting to a stage in the future where the whole world will start seeing data as a currency. We are moving to that stage where data will become one of the most powerful assets in the world. And if we continue to allow the intrinsic and economic value of Nigerian data to be belittled the way NIMC have done it, we will get nowhere, sir. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, let's look at solutions. What can we do? Because even as you speak, NIMC only recently said they were going to introduce what they call a 3-in-1 card, which would include the NIN, include the BVN, include other individual data, and that this will even be linked to our bank accounts. I think they said they're going to make that operational in August. What will you advise them? When even the basic NIN has been compromised. Then now they want to collect all our data onto one card. Should they stop? What will you advise them to do?
Thank you very much for this, sir. There's nothing wrong in NIMC releasing this, what they call the general multi-purpose card. There's nothing wrong if they want to release that, it's fine. But we want to advise them, with the current incidents going on, they should delay it. Because some of us in this industry, we are now worried. And we want you to publish a report. As a matter of fact, we want to see the internal control mechanisms you have to protect not just your infrastructure, but to guarantee that the human face of this infrastructure are well trained and they understand the ethics of data, and they will not think it's business as usual. The problem is not just giving our data out to people. It's because, for example, sir, we are of the opinion there's no 100% security anywhere in the world. There's none. There's no platform in the world that has 100% security. The highest anybody can boast of, sir, is 99.9% security. Now, you see, that little that seems to be the gap that we all cannot automate and guarantee is where we work on the human face of the infrastructure, so they don't become the vulnerable point to exploit us. With what have happened so far, first and foremost, in every second security breach, there's a standard that is required, meaning the data protector should take ownership of the situation. Sir, that is the standard global practice. The data protector, that means that's NIMC in this case, should come out and take ownership. That is the first thing we want to see. Then publish your internal control mechanism. If you feel you don't want to do a public publishing of this kind of internal control measures, do an industry exclusive publishing. Let professionals and practitioners in the country review your mechanisms. Because if you like, have the biggest ISO certification in the world, sir. If you like, release the most advanced general multipurpose card for our national identity, sir. If you don't have a good internal control mechanism and measure in place, that human component, that human element of your infrastructure, it's what will bring you down. It's what will destroy you. And we need all these things published. We can't come now and start teaching NIMC how to set up a database or how to set up an infrastructure. We can't do that. We can't do that at this stage. As a matter of fact, if we start advising them on this show on how to go about technically, we will be giving them a pat on the back, sir. Let them publish what they've done so far so we can assess them properly and know these errors are the gaps. We need them to guarantee that 99.9% for us. It is important they guarantee it. And they have to use their capacity, which they are saddled with, to guarantee it. But so far, they should publish the internal control measures, sir.
Well, Dr. Oniya, let me ask you. We're talking about national identity card, BVN, NIN, in a country where we don't even know how many we are. Are we not just doing this to just copy, better organized countries? It's not everybody that has a bank account. It's not everybody that has a need for identity. And in a country where our borders are very porous, anybody can enter Nigeria from Ghana, from anywhere. So, I mean, this whole thing about national identity and all of that, are we really not just chasing shadows? Who is a Nigerian? Who is not a Nigerian? Anybody can come in here. So, address the whole idea.
You made a very, very valid point. Very, very valid point. Now, sir, please permit me to first say that the concept of having national identification globally is not a Nigerian practice. It's a global practice. And we are glad at least we've started this process. But it doesn't rule out the fact of what you said, sir. We are in a country where we always put the cart before the horse. That's the way we operate. And we have gotten to a stage where we need to start asking ourselves the questions. Because we are always hearing, sir, Nigeria is a place, it's a country where technology is like a medal. They don't use technology for what it is. They're not trying to solve a problem. But sir, you see, when you talk and you say, I did this in AI, I did this with technology, sir, you scored a medal. So they use the technological word, technological phrases, technological projects to score a medal in Nigeria. That's what they do a lot. And we've always said it. They do all these projects because they want to do it right, not because they want to do it perfectly well, not because they want it to be sustainable in a long term and outlive them. They do it because they want to score a medal. And when they score that medal, at the point of, I was the one that did national identity. It was me that set up this. When they talk all those medals, when the system now becomes faulty, they now start acting like it is a small matter. So, as a matter of fact, I will give you, based on the example you've given, I will give you a small way they can use the data breach to influence census in this country. You see, like I said, cyber criminals, they think very fast. We are still talking data breach today. These guys are thinking census in 5 years, how they will use national identity for census. They can plan it so that they can use this thing they are stealing to continue to manipulate census figure in this country. If we ever get to the stage where we use national identity as an instrument for conducting census in this country, we can, as a matter of fact, what they can use this small data breach you've seen this small data you've seen so far, what they can use it for is huge in the long term. So the fear I have is these guys are planning ahead. And look at the kind of example you've given. In a country where we don't have the right number of people, you can imagine, sir, some people are sitting somewhere hooking up national identity in advance. It's not even yet time. But because they're a criminal enterprise, they are cooking up national identity for future purposes that will affect the future of this country. So you are very correct, sir. We have a long way to go in this country, sir.
Okay, you just spoke about artificial intelligence. I think it was about 2 months ago, thereabouts, that we had a conference, a workshop on artificial intelligence master strategy plan for Nigeria. A lot of people have said, look, artificial intelligence is the future. NVIDIA, the stock value of NVIDIA has increased by about 126% this year alone. At a point, NVIDIA even overtook Microsoft and Apple to become the most valuable company in the world because of artificial intelligence. Here, we're just talking about a strategic master plan. What is the future? We can't even manage national identity. We are already talking about artificial intelligence in Nigeria. Can we do it? Is it possible? Or, well, it's just one of those things that we copy.
Thank you very much, sir. So, sir, I want to answer this question in a very logical way because permit me to reference the former president, President Muhammadu Buhari, whose drive then was digitalization. So some of us in this industry, we knew how much emphasis he placed on digitalization. And now the new administration's emphasis is primarily no longer digitalization, is now AI. Now, you see, remember I told you, sir, it's all about technology medals. Now, there is a process you follow with technological implementation from digitizing analog systems. That is the digitization. Digitizing analog systems. Digitization. After digitization, you move to digitalization, where you are beginning to create systems and make processes more efficient because they have now been digitized. You are removing redundancies, blocking loopholes, closing gaps, automating systems because they are already digitized, so you are digitalizing them. Then you move to digital transformation. Now, digital transformation is where you completely build new systems out of existing systems. That's digital transformation. Now, AI is a new field of practice. It's a recent field of practice, specialty field of practice that would transform the entire system we have globally today. And it's at its nascent stage. Now, computational intelligence as a form of computing is a long older. Now, AI became mainstream in terms of the AI products that have been launched. I am one of those that argued that why did we push digitalization for 8 years and we could not publish the result, the achievement of the digitalization, and we should connect. How do we now connect it to this current administration? Now we've moved on to artificial intelligence. The noise we were making then about digitalization, we've started screaming AI because that's what's trending in the world. Sir, I am one of those that argues Nigeria don't need to play catch up. We don't need to try to act the way they're acting in the West. We don't need to try to do what they are doing in the West. We don't need to pursue competitive parity. We need to pursue competitive differentiation so that we can stand out. And the only way we can do that effectively is understanding our uniqueness in terms of our data and our people and our processes. So for me, I'm not going to say AI won't achieve what it will achieve if eventually we get on the AI journey. But I feel we need to properly position ourselves as a country, digitally transform us as a country, then we can now see how we can leverage AI as an appendage on what we've done so far. I am of the opinion, if AI is done right, we might get it right, if it's done right. But I'm of the opinion, we still have institutions in this country where they still do paper-based documents. Many medical hospitals in this country, tertiary medical centers, that don't even have electronic medical records. So it's worrying why we suddenly stop the digitalization drive that would have successfully digitized all our infrastructure and completely automate our systems and make them more efficient. And while we are just screaming AI, it's looking like a technological medal jamboree thing that we do every 8 years, sir.
Okay, well, Dr. Oni, I hope many of our listeners understand what you are saying. All this digitalization, and will sound rather esoteric, to many people. But I get your point. Artificial intelligence is the way forward. After all, we even have, deepfake, we have misinformation, we have AI generated, persons performing tasks that are ordinarily performed by human beings. But it looks like that is the future. When we entered the computer age. There were many Nigerians who were used to the typewriter who said, no, computers will never work. And now all of us have embraced that. So maybe we'll find ourselves in the future whereby, we'll have to accept the reality of artificial intelligence. But even then, we will need to protect data. But here in Nigeria, we don't protect data. It's perpetually compromised. After all, in the 2023 general elections, there are still persons beating themselves black and blue and saying, oh, they manipulated data in that election. This is Nigeria. At the end of the day, everything is about the human being. On that note, Dr. Nia, we'll take a short break on this program. And then when we come back, we'll give the opportunity for persons who have been part of this conversation to intervene, to make their own observations, to ask you questions where necessary. Well, the number to call, as I said earlier, is 0700 1051 1051. And also via WhatsApp, we'll be taking messages from 0909 916 4403 and on our social media accounts at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. So we take this short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Are given out to members of National Assembly, but you don't know about it. It's okay.
When you need unbiased information, balanced analysis, reviews, and insight on the policies and programs that concern you, listen to City Talks with Reuben Abati. Be a part of it. Call 0700 1051 1051 to lend your voice on topics and help shape our country for the better.
My name is Reuben Abati. I will be your host on City Talks from noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday. Join me as we dissect major issues of public interest. You will be glad you did.
City Talks with Reuben Abati on your number one lifestyle station, City 1051. From noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday.
Hello, welcome back from that commercial break. You are still listening to City Talks with Reuben Abati on City 1051 FM. And today we've been discussing data protection, data privacy, and the responsibilities of the National Identity Management Company. They asked us to collect national identity number, but we now hear that those national identity numbers are not so safe. You can buy anybody's NIN for 100 naira on the internet, and that's very unfortunate. But we have an expert today who is helping us look at this. He's a computer scientist, Dr. Stephen Adetutu Unia. Remember, if you want to be part of this conversation, you can join us via WhatsApp 0909 916 4403. You can also join us via 0700 1051 1051. And also on our social media platforms, Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook via @City 1051. Well, Dr. Unia, thank you very much for staying with us. We now keep the lines open so that we can have interventions by our callers. Hello, who is going to go first? Hello?
I'm to Dr. Abati.
Is that Dr. Moses?
Oh, yes, that's right. I was thinking among to Dr. Wole Abati. Anyway, greet you.
That's Dr. Moses. Last week we dealt with cholera. Cholera. But today we're talking about data and national identification numbers.
With respect to this, look, I remember that very famous advert then. Your Shina, your time. We think locally, but you ask globally. Unfortunately, this is not the case in Nigeria. We think locally, but we pretend to act globally, but we are just nowhere. But the news broke. So many things came to mind. Investigation. Yeah, because when what is it now? McLuhan, at the first intelligence, the Canadian theory, described the world that in no time to become a global village. It has come to pass. Actually, everything is now digitalized. What is that thing that we don't have to digitalize in this world today? Your passport, your bank account, your driver's license, and you can go on. And NIMC will only come out with just some flimsy statements when lives there are stake. The discussion that did not for them took it out of my mouth because I was somewhere now when I had to say something about this. One impersonation is going to be so right. I hope it's in the case that Dr. Abati will get somewhere. Maybe he's on the line and it's time to get something done. They'll tell him that, no, Dr. Abati, I come here from 30 minutes ago. Because the impersonation will be so real. And what can a terrorist like this bring about? WikiLeaks is still on. 12 years, 13 years down the line. Julius Assange is still in trouble. Because what he did then, by way of some carelessness by some people, is still happening today. And so many people that were affected. The Cambridge fiasco that happened with the last election in America, or was it 2 elections ago, when Donald Trump emerged, is still the this. So this tells you that any mishap in the digital world will have a long-term effect. Our bank account, the government says, and myself, whenever things like this happen in Nigeria, because the Nigerianness in us, we just handle them in a very flippant manner, and life is endangered. I hope we not just set up one committee that will sit down forever, and at the end of the day come out with nothing. Because so many things are at stake right now. Many lives, well, I'm talking about that have to do with the bank account, insurance, even your traveling out of the country or any part of the world may be endangered. But will they act? And let me say in the round of business, this is a case of people need panic, panic. When there are issues with digital carelessness like this, you can't look beyond and in-house, economies. Most likely to price themselves very much. You can't get another cannot just as in the core of the pyramid. Somebody within the system. But do we have to go through this? So they act appropriately because this is danger looming. As I said, the will be right as the said in the short term and in the long term. Everything you have in terms of BVN, NIN, which was not even done very well because I'm still suffering from some NIN today. I've registered my number, a particular number, 3 or 4, even 5 times. And yes, this is what NIMC can talk about in such a flimsy manner. They should act and act fast, not just setting up some actions if it's possible. Hello? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Moses. Dr. Nia is hearing you.
They should not set up some ad hoc committee that will end up just wasting our time and effort and put our lives in danger. We can't continue to think globally and keep acting this irresponsibly. Otherwise, Nigeria will remain a part of joke forever. Let me let like this for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Moses, for joining us. Short-term effect, long-term effect, trying to act globally, acting locally in an irresponsible manner. There's also this intervention by Cyril Uchenna Guam, and that's via Zoom. He says, will it not retard economic, social, and political development if our data is compromised to change our census figures, particularly population per state and local government area? I think you brought up the issue of census earlier on. If you could just react quickly to these 2 interventions, and then we'll take more calls.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I want to especially thank Dr. Moses for sharing his concern, and I'm happy that Nigerians feel the same way. We all felt very embarrassed. We feel it's the most irresponsible thing to do, and our hands were tied because it's a government agency. We just got tied because of that. So but we are not going to take any. Also, for the second caller, remember I gave a scenario, which currently is an hypothetical scenario, where I was trying to connect the use of national identity for national planning and census data. That scenario is a valid scenario. It's a scenario that has been used in some part of the world. You use national identity numbers to plan for census population, to plan for taking care of the population, the healthcare system, the food plan, the food network, and the social intervention, fulfilling your social contract. You use such data to plan it. And the truth is, there is no doubt. Like I've said, you see, the criminals, we think, people see cyber crime in Nigeria like some guys wearing jeans and t-shirts, carrying one laptop, some 20 years old guy hanging out and just committing crime. That is not how cyber crime works. Some of us have been in this industry for years, and they are a major enterprise. In short, they are so structured. They have a well-structured organization. They are well-structured. They plan ahead. In short, they have meetings like regular corporate entities. They plan, they structure, they make their plan ahead. So I won't be surprised if some of them have already planned how they will use our national data to influence census figure. It is feasible, it's possible. So like Dr. Moses said, we can't be irresponsible as a country. The fact that this happened from a government agency does not mean we should slap them, we should give them a pat on the back. It's not going to happen.
Okay, Dr. Nia, here is another intervention, and I think the name of the person is Adewega Adedeji. He sent this via WhatsApp. He says it has become a practice among those appointed by government, heading certain positions or ministries, to play down important issues that affect lives and properties when they have been found wanting. They will come out in the open and act those in power are more concerned about monetary allocation Again, one of the problems is the process of selecting those who head sensitive agencies like this. It's more political than appointing experts. Data is life. Adeboyega Adedeji. It says data is life. Why is data life? We are looking for food to eat.
Dr. Abati, data is life. Sir, let me put what you said in context. Yes, he might have said it a bit out of proportion, but the truth is, sir, a future is coming where data will be our currency. And I want to just let you know that data has evolved over the years. There used to be a time, sir, where we never used to recognize data as an asset. But we started building platforms like Yahoo, like Google, like Facebook. Then data became an asset. Now, sir, some people have even said data is the new oil. And the reason why I agree with the last message that data is life, sir, some data impact your life. Some people's medical record, if you get into public domain, their life is shattered. That is data is life, sir. Some people's data, some sensitive data, if you get into someone's hands, their life is destroyed. That is the power of data. So to some extent, colloquially, sir, I agree that data is life, sir.
Okay. Is there do we have any other caller on the line? We're still talking to Dr. Stephen Adetutu Oniya, who has been talking about the importance of data and the need for the Nigerian government to manage it carefully and link it properly with the development process. Do we have a caller on the line there in the studio? Hello? Hello, your name, your location, and please keep it brief. Hello?
Yeah, Dr. Bond,
Yeah.
if we get data right or anything digital, I think our stress with our elections too will be reduced drastically. The last election still holds many memories with many people. Whatever happened, okay, thank goodness it's resolved in the court. But if we can fully and properly enter into this world, act really responsibly and globally, we won't have much stress and hassle with much of our election. We find some things very easy today. At the comfort of your room, you can as well vote for someone online. You can, at the tap of your finger, get across to somebody millions of miles away. Your banking, whatever you have to do, them just with ease. But if our elections will enjoy a level of stress-free, because I want to say that in some countries, even on work days, they go out there to vote and they go back to work. You wonder, are they in another planet? Why now? When we want to, even look at when election here, everything comes to standstill. Is it last year or any this year? When some elections took place, like, okay, I think this year, when the election into 2001, someone to replace what you guy now, tell me about Jamila, you know, that day GC was on, and because I have some students that were writing GC then, they were almost not going to write that exam that day, just because of one constituency election. So if we get our digital life right, so this stress will be done away with. We can easily vote in the comfort of our room, and yet NIMC is still acting this way. I plead with them, let them ensure that whatever went wrong last week or 2 weeks ago should be fixed properly. We should not put the Nigerian factor in this. Otherwise, we'll just continually be a country that is not taking trust anywhere. You go out there sometimes, you feel the whole problem of being a Nigerian. It's like somebody saying a Nigerian, they look at you in some strange way, all because of things like this. We let us act to clean up this mess and see us move forward. Good afternoon.
Okay, Dr. Onia, Dr. Moses also engaging you, but if we could just take some of your final summative statements as we begin to wrap up now about the importance of data and why we, the people, should worry. Because if our NIN is out there, our BVN can just be procured by anybody for as little as 100 naira. Is there a role that we, the people, can play in this matter and not leave it to government? Government says they want data. They even went as far as putting a national identification number in international passports. And yes, they cannot protect it. And then there is a National Data Protection Commission. So why will our government throw us under the bus? Is there something we can do, to protect ourselves? Hello.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati. You see, this whole digital implementation we are doing everywhere in the world is because we are trying to guarantee digital prosperity for a common man. Digital prosperity for a common man. And I'm one of those that believes, because this kind of implementation, we've done it over and over again, and we've realized there's no implementation you do. If the common man cannot be prosperous digitally, you've wasted our resources as a nation. And this kind of breaches only reduces our the chances of a common man to be digitally prosperous in a digital economy. You've reduced our chances. So what we need from them is more assurances that in the long run, this whole investment, emotionally, financially, physically, it will lead to digital prosperity for Nigerians. Because if this trend of irresponsible statements is not even only the breach that is irresponsible statements after the breach that we are getting from these agencies, if it doesn't stop, we are going to end up in a situation where the entire digital infrastructure does not make the common man in Nigeria digitally prosperous. That's my closing, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Stephen Adetitu Unia, for sharing your insights with us on today's topic on digital privacy, data privacy, you said digitization, digitalization, digital prosperity. I have a lot to take home with me. And I also like to thank all of you who joined us via Zoom and Facebook. Well, the conversation continues online. You can reach me personally on my Instagram page at abati1990. And then you can follow the station at City1051 on all social media platforms. And for those of you who tuned in late, there is no need to worry. We're going to, you can watch the full show on YouTube page City1051. And when you do so, don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget also to leave your comments. And don't forget also, and that's more important, to join us next week at 12 noon for another exciting edition of City Talks. I'm Reuben Abati. And the show was produced by Rex Okiche, Oluwaseun Adetuntun, Ayodamola Oludara, Oluwatobiloba Samson, and Abiodun Odunton. The executive producer is Adedoja Allen. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great weekend. See you again next week. Bye for now. Thank you.